Well, hello guys, it's Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this just doesn't work. And guys, I'm doing a special edition tonight on the Joe Boo Sports Report. Charles Haley, Hall of Famer, five-time Super Bowl champion, Charles Haley. Boy, the memories, the thoughts going back. Charles Haley was an incredible player. On the field, you wanted that guy in the huddle. Out of it, well, let's actually start this real quick because I just love this.
I got a lot of jokes. When my feet hit that grass, joke's over.
That's the truth. Yeah. What's up, Jesse James?
That I put on my door, I put one on my door, one on my mirror. Who am I? And how do I want to be remembered? I don't care to be remembered as a football player. I want to be remembered as a guy that steps out and help others, that let the compassion that's within him come out and stop being afraid.
Amen to that one.
Charles Haley has always been a puzzle that teammates, coaches, and loved ones had a hard time working out.
People are never just one thing. And he was very happy, but there's a lot of up and down also. We had all
It's
the
okay. They can take the
success,
monetization
and so
out on
that
this one.
helped camouflage
I want to
some
do
of
this one
the low
because
periods.
I never felt like I belonged.
this is a guy that I know, and I want to share my thoughts on Charles Haley.
I never asked for help.
So I'm going to let this start for a few minutes, and then I'll get back.
Things want to transpire.
He could be both compassionate and ruthless, aggressive and vulnerable, a storm of volatility off the field, a hurricane on it.
I don't know if there was a player that was as dominant and as scary as Charles Haley.
Pressure by Haley, and the ball slips out of his hands. It's picked up by Haley. He goes into the end zone.
He was quick. He was explosive. His speed to power was just amazing.
Charles Haley, he's just a big play man on the field. He's a killer is what he is.
A quarterback had to understand.
Charles Haley. Guys, I know this is not my normal night and anything to do live streaming and stuff, but Charles Haley, man, I just want to share my thoughts and what I know about Charles Haley because Charles Haley has to be one of the most misunderstood players in the NFL. You've heard all the stories about Charles Haley being a nut and everything else, and I'll be honest with you, Charles was not an easy guy to take. I met Charles Haley in the summer of 1984 at JMU. At JMU, we had a minority student program to help minority students who were borderline to get an experience of college, get a couple of classes and things, get used to the campus, to get a leg up on your college experience because they wanted you to be successful. So I was very fortunate to be in this program, So here it was, graduated high school. A few weeks later, boom, I'm at JMU. And at JMU, all the football players were there all summer. And that's when I met Charles Haley. Charles Haley, 6'4", was a prankster. Charles Haley was a little bit on the raw side with a lot of his humor and stuff. But I got to tell you, when I started playing football, and Charles will say, you were on the team. That's true. I didn't play like Charles or anything like that. But Charles had this streak in him that he hated to lose. Truly hated to lose in anything. I don't care if it was playing pool, playing spades, or even playing a damn video game, Punch Out. How are we doing, Jackie? He could not stand to lose at anything, even in practice. And this is a true story. I often tell this one, but Charles Haley hit a guy in practice. We're talking about practice. So hard that he became a cheerleader. Charles got blocked by one of our running backs. I'm not going to say the guy's name. How you doing tonight, Jackie? Adam Burkett. Again, they talk about us Dallas Cowboys so bad and how much everybody hates us and how we're not America's team. But it's amazing how the NFL Network constantly has us on. Yesterday we had the Green Bay Packers versus Dallas on. Tonight, Football Life, Charles Haley. Charles, I went to school with the JMU. I knew him from 84 and 85 before he went off to the NFL. And I wanted to share my thoughts with him because I believe that he's truly been misunderstood. Like I said, Charles is not an easy person to get along with. In fact, Charles did not like me at all. Charles threatened me a few times and all that. But it's all good because that's just the way Charles was. Charles would sense in you fear. And if you had fear, he was going to go for that weakness, which is why he was so great at football. But like I said, in practice, this guy gave him a good block. Wingback came through. Boom, knocked him down. Charles literally got up and said, I'm going to F you up. And he hit the man about the cleanest, hardest hit I have ever seen in my life. And the guy was carried off in a stretcher. Broke some bones in his neck, and they said, you can't ever play football again. And he became a great cheerleader for JMU. But it was Charles who did not like to lose. And unfortunately at JMU's not the perennial team that's in the national championship or highly ranked like they are now. Division I AA, as we were back then. We only won 3 or 4 games a year. And you could see with Charles, every time we lose, it would piss him off. He gave everything on the field. Everything at practice and everything else. Like I said, Charles was not an easy person to get on. Charles jokes and everything else, yeah, they're pretty raw. When I hear some of the stories of stuff that happened in the locker room, I say, yeah, I can believe that. I can definitely believe that. But I think when we go back to look at San Francisco, when he allegedly went after Steve Young, the reason why he was exiled and became a Dallas Cowboy, Steve Young blew a game. And for Charles, after going through JMU, losing and everything else, I believe it was like you were stealing something from Charles. Charles did not like it. And that's why when Steve Young and them lost and he didn't feel like the team was giving it all, hey, I'm going to get what's mine back. And thankfully, the Cowboys had the foresight to bring him in because that was a power shift from the 49ers to the Cowboys, and I believe that's a direct correlation to the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowls, those 3. And had we kept Jimmy Johnson, who knows, we could have won maybe another 1 or 2 in there. But the guy was incredible. On the field, unstoppable, trash talker and everything else. And unfortunately, he got a bad rap from that, and it took him a long time to finally get in the Hall of Fame. But I am glad that he's there. Tim Hasty, I'm sorry. What was your post? Laugh out loud. Let me roll back. In fact, hold it. I was reliving my past back in college, back when we, at JMU, thinking back to the stadium parties, because JMU Stadium, if you look at the stadium now, it's huge. One side is real low, and that's actually how both sides were. The back side of the stadium used to be the military science, and what would happen is that would open up on Friday nights. We get a DJ. You get about 100 people up in there partying and everything else. So I am reliving my youth here with you guys. And Sir Whitney, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm going to actually enter you. We're going to have a drawing on Friday night during our live stream and stuff. I appreciate the super chat. That'll definitely help us out for our draft trip. What's interesting is, and I know a lot of people say, yeah, right, sure, you played football and everything, or you know Charles Haley. What's interesting is there is a Joe Boo connection with Charles Haley. If you go to, right now, Charles Haley's Facebook personal page and take a look at his profile picture. And for the last, I think it's 3 or 4 years, it's been Joe Boo. True story. Check it out. Check it out. And I can tell you why it is that way. Before I started really doing just YouTube, I had my Facebook page where I was always sharing pictures of Joe Boo with people. There are literally thousands of people that we have met across the country and taking pictures with Joe Boo and shared it on there. And I started blogging a little bit on there, and I started writing for Cover 32 for a while and things, which was fun. But it's a lot more difficult because I'll be honest with you, you guys know I am a name butcher. I will screw up a name. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell worth shit. But my gift is I can see things. I can build something just from a picture. I am great with numbers. Everybody has their own gift. I have the ideas, the thoughts, and all that, but when it comes to getting it down on paper, somewhere between here and getting it down on paper gets messed up. So I get the thoughts down and get my wife, who is a great writer, to proofread it and end up putting it out. And, you know, they did really well. I had a couple of them that were shared nationally. But it takes a lot of time. That's why I love YouTube. I can just come out here, have a conversation. You guys know I will screw up all the time. But, and a few people will point it out, but it's just easy to be able to get my thoughts out. But I had wrote a blog about this time. I think about it was close to the draft because we were talking about the draft. Because you have players that everybody says is the can't miss player. There's guys that, you know, you got to draft him because he's the best guy. You won't miss on him. Like they said about Morris Claiborne. Well, back in my day, it was Tony Mandrich. Most of you guys probably don't know who he is or anything like that. And that's Gary Clark, who also went to JMU too. Gary Clark is about this tall, but dude could slam dunk. In fact, his wife, Morgan Spencer, used to play for the LFL league, and he used to coach and stuff for him. I lost where I was. Got excited seeing Gary Clark and everything else. Charles, sorry. I'm getting old and forgetful, and then I start thinking about the past and things, and see, there he is at JMU, and man, boy, does that bring back some memories. Wow. Actually, I'm going to turn this back on here.
Big way. I mean, he talked about his life and his career prior to the draft and talked about it a lot. And I thought, this is a person where
she went to
the wheels
JMU
are
too.
turning. He is looking beyond, Harrisonburg, Virginia.
His talent stood out enough to pique the interest of 49ers head coach, Bill Walsh.
So my comparison was Tony Mandrich was this offensive lineman at that time, was about 300 plus pounds, bodybuilder, worked out on muscle beats. The guy was just like huge. He was literally on, bodybuilding magazines and stuff, and he was thought to be the can't-miss guy, the guy who was going to revolutionize offensive linemen, that literally he was the can't-miss guy. Number 1 draft pick. And guess what? They missed. So I compared him versus a Charles Haley who went in the 4th round from a Division I AA school that never won a game, that never had a professional football player. Tony Mandrich, he played a few years and things. He actually resurrected his career later on and played for Green Bay and did pretty well. I think he was part of one of their Super Bowl teams. But there's never the guy that everybody thought he was going to be. Charles Haley, the guy that most people didn't even know existed, from a small school, had 101 sacks and 5 Super Bowl rings. At that time, the only player that had 5 Super Bowl rings. So the comparison is you can't look at the can't miss guy. It's a crapshoot. And at the time I wrote this was when Charles was getting shunned at the Hall of Fame. Year after year, he should have been in there a long time ago, but the writers and everything, because of the perception of his off the field issues and things and dealing with people, kept making him wait. But after I wrote that blog, his profile picture got changed to the one that it is right now. Joe, but if you look at that picture of Jobu, you'll notice that's from a long time ago. Jobu's actually gotten a little taller. His hair's gotten a little bit better and everything else. But his profile picture has been that ever since. Now, I'm not saying that it had anything to do with him getting elected or anything like that, but it was the very next cycle that he got in. And believe me, he belonged in a long time before that. But I'm just really, really proud of my man, Charles Haley, because he literally put JMU on the map. Gary Clark, another one. Gary Clark left the year before. Had got an incredible game against the University of Virginia where he literally beat them. 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdown catches, and a kick return for a touchdown. We won 21-17. So when we look at guys, and there's Odell Beckham who's out there who is a problem child. And some people think we should sign Odell Beckham. He's a great player. He's got off-field issues and things. And I'd say, yeah, he does. But the difference is Charles Haley thinks about one thing and one thing only, and that is winning. And if you are not with him to win, he's going to F you up. And that is the truth. When Emmitt Smith held out, Charles went at the team and said, we can't win without him. You're going to get his ass back here so we can do what we need to do. Odell, he's got all the talent in the world. He could be the greatest wide receiver ever. But it's more about me. I don't know what his work ethic is and how much he works out. But when you finally make it to the playoffs your first year, you end up going to Miami immediately from the game to hang out and party. That's not about the team and winning. That's about you. You're telling me you couldn't wait a week or two after the playoffs to go party in Miami? No. So when people say, oh, you're just salty because you can't get Odell Beckham, the Cowboys won't do what it takes to have him. If he was here, you'd be happy. No, I wasn't happy about T.O. being here. I was never happy. I'll go back and pull up Facebook posts, if you like, and prove that I was not with the whole T.O. signing. But if we had a few Charles Haleys, guys that will literally leave every single thing on the field, whew, man, it'd be on like Donkey Kong. So, again, I am just excited about Charles Haley. Charles had some issues and things and all that, bipolar and things, and these things are real. I've had to work with some people and things in my own family and stuff that have had bipolar issues and things like that, and it's difficult to get somebody to get help, and I'm so glad that he has help because he is a wealth of knowledge on and off the field, and it can be a hell of a mentor for the Cowboys. So, that's why I kind of feel proud that I can say that, yeah, I know Charles Haley. T.O., yeah, I agree. Edwin, is that my cousin Edwin? T.O., yes, he always played hard, and he played hurt. In fact, almost got the Eagles a Super Bowl. But that off-the-field drama, I'm sorry, it's still that whole me. I just don't like that. For me, I don't know, maybe I'm old school. But see, if you do good on the field, believe me, people are going to talk about you. You let your talking happen on the field, not because you're saying, look at me, I'm so great. And the thing that bothers, okay, if you're going to be that way, if you're going to say, look at me, check me out, follow me and all that, Don't just do it when things are good. When shit hits the fan, you got to own up to it too. Don't just say, I don't remember. Don't just say, oh, well, next question. I don't want to just walk out. You wanted the praise, well, then you got to go ahead and take the other side of the fence too. So that's my whole thing. And I didn't come on here to bash Odell Beckham. I wish him the best of wherever he lands and all that and things like that. And I understand about players wanting to get as much money as possible because in the end, when the NFL is done with you, they're done with you. They don't care what shape you are when you leave. They only care about you when you can do something for them. So, hats off to them getting as much money as they can. I just understand that they're two different things. There's a difference between winning and getting paid. And unfortunately, you can't pay everybody a boatload of money and think you're going to win. So that's our biggest problem now is we have a lot of guys that are making a whole lot of money, and then there's no money left to pay the rest of the guys. Love me some, yeah. I tell you what, now, he was great at getting quotes. You definitely, if you were in the media, you loved T.O. because you were always going to get something out there to be able to go out with. Let's go back to a little bit more. I'm sure that this will get copyrighted by the NFL and everything else, but
This is the Charles that I know.
I don't care.
Charles Haley was an assistant coach in Detroit for 2 years. He had no trouble teaching his players proper technique.
That's true.
But he couldn't instill in them the same intelligence and drive he displayed as a 49er.
Bill Walsh told me one time, I was mad because one of the coaches had criticized me. He said, Charles, criticism is just like beef jerky. It's tough, it's hard to chew, but guess what? It got everything in it that you need. Now get out my face. From that day on, I became a student of the game.
I can remember in training camp, I was on the board diagramming a play, and Charles would come in and sit down. Now, I know he's supposed to be in a meeting someplace. Not in my meeting, defensive end. So I go, Charles, what are you doing? I didn't like it. I say, well, I'm sorry about that, but I'm talking offensive football here. He goes, I can learn and make me a better player.
That's true.
And he'd go out on the field, and if you made a mistake, whoever it was, he would stop in the play and tell you everybody's assignment from every position in detail and why you screwed it up and how can you be so stupid. It was unbelievable.
But he didn't say it that nicely to you.
When I first got here, I wanted to be just like him. But then I figured out after a couple of days I was better than him, so I said, what the hell? I might as well go to somebody else.
His football acumen
He was
such
incredible.
that the 49ers practically invented a position for him.
This new elephant position, we called it, where it was kind of an outside linebacker, kind of a defensive end. And our coverage was all adjusted to where we would line them up.
As the elephant position, I had latitude and longitude to line up anywhere on the defense. I could take this nose tackle, put him out there, and I could go right here.
And it's Charles Haley with another sack at the 9-yard line.
And sometimes I would jump down over this guard right here. And by the time he picked his hand up, I'm already through.
See, now here's where he lined up in the first half. 20 times on the left side, 3 times in the middle, 5 times in the right. So what they try and do is move Haley all over so that you can't anticipate where he's going to be.
If quarterbacks didn't keep their eye on Charles Haley,
And that's one of those things that you got to give the San Francisco 49ers credit for. They realize we have a guy who can wreak havoc. Let's move him around. It's one of those things that Jason Garrett, maybe you could learn that changing things up, throwing curveballs at people, make the guys play better and give you advantages. God, I hope we can get that. But I think back to JMU. We had another guy. Oh, my God. He would have been an incredible professional football player. Doug West from Tidewater, Virginia. Doug was he was also an unlimited wrestler. Doug was a nose guard just like I was, and Doug had it made because warming up, we had this form tackle we had to do. I was about 220 pounds. Doug was about 320 pounds. And what we had to do is basically you end up doing a form tackle, get into the guy's rib cage, pop him up, arch your back, and you'd carry him for 10 yards. Doug was 5'11" and 320 pounds. Carrying me was nothing. I had to carry his big ass all the time. But I remember my sophomore year, Doug literally, the first 3 games, ended up knocking the quarterback out on 3 games consecutively. Doug would have been one hell of a one-technique guy. Unfortunately, coming back from practice, he was on the back of a pickup truck, and the truck stopped, stop sign, and another guy was, "Hey, give me a ride." And Doug stood up, and unfortunately, Joey's truck, he pulled off. Doug fell off head first and ended up dying at UVA Hospital, brain dead. But Doug would have definitely been a pro football player. Doug was incredible. He placed second as a freshman in the ECAC, which was the East Coast Wrestling. Dude was a beast. Marvin, I believe his brother still watches, still lives down in Tidewater. Shout out to you, man. And Doug, man, we miss you, buddy. But there were some great guys that we had back at JMU and things. Like I said, that was in the infancy. But Charles, of course, takes the cake. And shout out to Charles for being the Hall of Famer, being the guy that just never, ever quit. He was relentless in every single thing he did. So, NFL quarterback, yeah. Yeah, he scared people. I'm not going to lie. I know when I got to the huddle, I was glad I was not on offense to have to play against him. I'm glad I never had to actually hit Charles, okay? Because it was, Tidewater, Virginia. Come on, man. It's Hampton Roads, Virginia. Okay, we always called it Tidewater. But whatever. You want to correct. I'm old and I always make mistakes. Just in here hanging out, Maximus. So far, David Irving, nobody has actually done anything on his tender, so hopefully we've got him, and that's a done deal, and so on. I think all the major moves right now are pretty much done in the NFL. You know, Bryce Butler's doing his tour finally, so people are finally calling him and stuff. But I think all of the big trades and everything else, with the exception of maybe Odell, and if something happens with Odell, I bet you it happens the day of the draft or the day before the draft, somewhere close in there. Other than that, I don't think you're going to see anything major, except maybe, and I think that might be a draft day thing, is I still believe the Earl Thomas. There you go, Kyle. You just posted on there. I think something's still going to happen with Earl Thomas. Although, I'll go into this more later, but I still believe that Des Bryant's gone. Me and John and Irvin and Clarence stuff have been talking about this. I just look at the body language of Stephen Jones and the fact that they've been Texas A&M checking out Christian Kirk today with Johnny Manziel. Don't start the Johnny Manziel to the Cowboy stuff. As well as having Calvin Ridley here, that they're still thinking about, whoa, damn. Wow. I'm blown away by that. Maximaris, wow. I butchered that name up. I'm sorry. Thank you for that super chat. Please, if you do a super chat like that, man, leave a question or a comment. Tell me I'm an idiot, I'm ugly, or something. Wow. Thank you very much, man. I hope you will be at the draft in Dallas, because we are going to have a hell of a party down there. We're working on our plans and stuff. I was actually making a bunch of calls today, finding out at AT&T where we're going to be able to park, and I'm waiting for you. Anybody who's working at AT&T, I'm waiting for you to call me back, because I'm trying to find out about the RV parking in Lot 16, which is I think where we'll end up being, and how much space I can get. So we're going to be there ready to rock and roll. I think we got a good shot. Well, Mike, here's the problem. The bottom line on all that stuff is one thing, and it's money. The question you have to answer is, $16 million. Is $16 million cap hit for Dez better than me taking that $16 million and spreading it out on a couple of other guys? That's the bottom line. Dez, yes, Dez will perform when he's not hurt. Dez will be out there. Dez is still capable. But the question is $16 million cap hit worth it? You're talking about 9% of the money that you have to pay the whole team. 9% of the money that goes to the whole team is going to Dez Bryant. Are you getting 9% of production for Dez Bryant's money? That's what you got to look at. That's the bottom line. If you are, then okay, then it's worth 9%. If you're not, what can I do with that 9% to make my team better as a whole? You don't believe me on Vita Vea? I'm going to tell you. See, to me, Snap Johnson, I know I played nose guard, okay, which really doesn't exist now. It's nose tackle. But I still believe that you win with the line. It's having the beast in the middle that you can control everything. We've got guys that are great on the outside pass rushing. And if you can get pressure on the outside, if you can hold the middle or get a push in the middle, that quarterback is going to feel the walls closing in on him. He can't step up in the pocket and make those throws downfield. And see, you get your biggest bang for the buck on the defensive line. You can get a great cornerback, but if you don't have a couple of other great ones to go with them and no pass rush, they'll throw it to the other guys. You can have really good linebackers, but if there's nobody to stop the offensive linemen for keeping them off of the linebackers, they're not going to do jack. But if you get a great pass rush or you get guys that prevent guys from running, if you got guys that can get to the quarterback in 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, that means your cornerbacks only have to hold up for 2.5 seconds. If we have Aaron frickin' Rodgers running around for 6 or 7 seconds, guess what? I don't care if you got Deion Sanders back there. He's going to find an open man, and he's going to beat you. Take a look back every year when we lose these big games, what happens to us? It's a drive at the end that ends up freaking killing us. Green Bay last year during the regular season. Dak Prescott, 3 touchdown passes, ran for another touchdown, scored over 30 points. When you score 30 points, you should win a game. We had 2 games back-to-back at home where the other team, we scored 30 points. The other teams beat us. Why? You don't control the middle. And if you don't control the middle, you don't control the field. We haven't had that guy in the middle. And that's where, to me, you go defensive line. You get that beast in the middle that gets that push. You do that, you're going to see more sacks out of David Irving, and you're going to see more sacks out of DeMarcus Lawrence, because now that quarterback can't step up. You've got him surrounded, and you're going to see more turnovers, I'm telling you. And that is where we are missing on this team, is we're not getting turnovers because we're not getting enough pressure and scaring the piss out of a quarterback. And that's what Charles Haley did. You had to worry about keeping your head on your shoulders because of a Charles Haley. And I'm telling you, you put Vita in the middle, David Irving rotating with Taco, DeMarcus Lawrence over there, get Collins healthy. That front right there is going to stop the run and put enough pressure that it's going to scare the peace out of people. I'm sorry, I'm old, Thomas. What is bukkake? You should ask Tyrone Crawford for his money back. Yeah, well, part of that is not necessarily Tyrone Crawford's fault. We restructured his contract a couple times, which bumped it up. So, you know, he wasn't maybe worth the contract that we signed him to because of the injuries, because he's always been like a 3-4 sack guy a year, and he's always kind of got nagging injuries and things. But he may be June 1st cut. If you cut him now, you're not going to save anything. If you cut him June 1st, you're talking about $8 million there. and then you get that second wave of free agency you can do some stuff with. There are some places that there's some guys that you're going to wonder if are going to still be on the team depending on what happens at the draft. So anyway, guys, I didn't come on here to be on here all night or anything else like that. Like I said, I was just excited about seeing my boy Charles Haley on A Football Life, and just wanted to share some of the stories that I had about him and things, and my hopes for our team here in the future. Well, regardless, here's the good thing right now that I feel great about. The fact that there's probably going to be 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are going to be taken early. We have a chance to get a game-changing guy in the draft. Now, the question will be is, what will the Cowboys do? The Cowboys, generally speaking, I think they're going to want to make a big splash. They're going to want to do something because it's in Dallas. I don't think Jerry Jones wants to wait till the 19th pick. I think Jerry Jones is going to want the team to be talked about like, oh, my God, the Dallas Cowboys, what are they going to do? And be breaking news. So I bet you the Cowboys do something draft day that will be talked about up and down. You just know with that platform, that stage, and at home, something big is going to happen. They're going to go for somebody. But with probably 4 or 5 quarterbacks being taken up in there, you're going to have an opportunity to get a game changer. I mean, one of these guys, be it Will Hernandez, and I'm not sure they'd go Will Hernandez now if they've been looking at, bringing in the offensive players that we have been. Christian Kirk will definitely be there. You're talking about Calvin Ridley will probably be there. There's a chance that Vita Vea could be there. I'm not sure that you really need to trade up because one of those guys are going to fall down to you. But I have a feeling that Jerry's going to do something big. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Yeah, they're definitely going to be a run on the quarterbacks and running backs. Because running backs are now, they were out of style there for a while. People figured you can get a 4th, 5th round, 6th round draft pick running back, just plug them in and go. But now, after the success of some of the running backs and stuff, now all of a sudden people are saying, okay, there's a premium on some of these guys. Jackie says, we made this contract with Dez when he was young and allowed Dez to roam the sidelines and come with a limited skill set and foul, really. Well, Jackie, here's what I think they're doing right now. I think they're trying to cover their back because I think they're going to wait until the draft to see what happens and who's there. The fact that they are really still looking at Calvin Ridley, they definitely, like I said, Christian Kirk, they definitely went to the pro day today and checked him out. Tomorrow they're going to be in Alabama, which will be interesting as well for that pro day, the whole coaching staff. And the last time the whole coaching staff went someplace together was going to Ohio State, and they looked at Zeke Elliott. So they may definitely be targeting right there. But I think they're going to wait till the draft and see what falls to them. If it ends up being that, hey, for all we know, it might be one of those situations where they might be able to trade back, pick up an extra pick, and then take a Calvin Ridley and feel great about it and do that, and then it's going to be Dez, bye-bye. I just believe from the way Stephen Jones has been, I'm telling you, that look in that interview yesterday. In fact, I'll tell you what, before I get off here, let me see if I still have that in here.
And Thompson doesn't rule out you taking a receiver in the first round if you feel that's the best player.
Sure does not.
And also, in taking those guys, you didn't take those guys with an idea of forcing out Dez. You're looking at complementing what you have in place now and going forward.
Absolutely. We want competition at all positions. And, obviously you look at what we have. And, Terrence obviously, had his injury. And we just feel like we needed some competitiveness at that position in terms of the numbers. And felt like both of these players were good values in terms of what we were trying to get accomplished for our football team for next year.
Terrence's injury?
He just got an off-season injury that he's dealing with.
Did he hurt during the off-season?
Yes.
What is it?
I'm not going to address it. Guess stepped out in front of it. But it's nothing that we're concerned about for the season, but you never know.
Will he miss some all-season time as far as OTAs?
Yes, he could miss some off-season time.
It was surgical.
I'm not going to comment any further. No more comments on Terrence. No more comments on Terrence. No more comments on Terrence.
Bringing Alan Hearns in and why you're attracted by him and go from there, what it means for the rest of the season.
Well, I just think, when we took a look at the receivers, we just felt like that, we have a new coach at that position. Sanjay had done a lot of work with Will and our scouting department and Scott and Jason, and just felt like, when he came available, he's the type of guy, along with Deontay, the type of guy that could certainly, be a guy who could come in and fit what we want to get done as an offensive football team. I think he's, very competitive and brings, a great energy. Both of them do, in terms of being able to do everything from, obviously number one is catch the ball, but when you're a receiver, but they're willing to do it all, from the blocking to whatever it takes.
How does this, obviously affect the rest of the season for you guys to talk, much all season about needing that Chris Davis contract? Where are you on that regarding Davis' contract?
We'll talk about Dez when it's time.
It's not time?
Not time.
Have you had any discussions with his people yet?
No.
What's the...
We'll talk about Dez when it's time.
Adding Hearns and Thompson doesn't necessarily impact Dez and his future on this team.
No.
But the conversation still needs to be had.
Yeah, so, I don't know. When you see him talking about Dez, Terrence Williams, oh yeah, he'll be okay for OTAs and all that. You look at that look, how serious and how evasive he is. You read that body language. I'm telling you, I don't think that he is in the plans, at least in Stephen Jones's mind. We'll have to wait and see if that is in fact true, but I got to tell you, that to me, that look and the way he is responding and all the comments that he's been making about it, right or wrong, there's a lot of players out there that still have production in their body and stuff, but they've just become too expensive. So we'll have to wait and see, but I got to tell you, the more you can't hear me. Still can't hear me? Okay, let me talk up. Let me turn this up a little bit louder. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. But like I said, when you look at that and his body language on there, I'm telling you, that didn't look like somebody that, that's the cold stare from hell, if you ask me. But like I said, we don't know what they're thinking and all that, but he definitely did not look like he's like warm and fuzzy about Dez Bryant. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But anyway, guys, like I said, I just wanted to come on because Charles Haley, my buddy, love him, man. And you've got to definitely respect what he did on the field. Off the field issues, he had some problems, some personal ones and everything, but, he's gotten them taken care of. But on the field, incredible, a genius. So, guys, thank you very much for joining in to the broadcast and stuff. Like I said, tonight's not my normal night. Normally it's Monday and Friday nights. Everybody who did a super chat tonight, you are entered into our drawing. I do actually have still a Charles Haley autograph shirt, but I'm going to probably save that one. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think we'll be drawing for that one on Friday night. So we're raising money to help out with our draft party. And guys, it's going to be a draft party like unbelievable. Jackie, you actually showed up at our live stream there. We had the Philadelphia Eagles game and the tailgate and stuff. So take that and multiply it by about 10, and that's what we're planning on there. We'll definitely be live streaming, so there'll be opportunity for you guys to be on the Joe Boo Sports Report. And we're going to be there literally from the time the gates open at 12 o'clock on Thursday through the draft and beyond, talking about football. On our road trip, we're going to be driving from Virginia to Dallas. We will be live streaming the whole trip. So if you want to see some of the sights, the sounds, and a bunch of guys talking about football for literally 23 hours of driving, it might be doing you brain damage, but you'll be able to do that. So thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a great week. Tomorrow is already hump day. Check out tomorrow morning. We do our Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys reports first thing in the morning, because literally you can't sleep on the Dallas Cowboys because shit always happens in the middle of the night. I'm Mark Holmes. This is Cowboy Joe Boo, and I'll see you guys.